Good day and welcome to today's Hangout on Air. My name is Nick Strong and I'll be your host for this interview. The purpose of these events is to introduce people seeking their future through franchise self-employment and business building to experienced and quality franchisors here in the UK. And I have the pleasure to say that Sean Cleveland, who is director at the Snack in the Box franchise, is joining me for that purpose today. So welcome, Sean. Sean, thank you for joining us. And Sean is here to discuss and answer questions with the focus on why invest in a Snack in the Box franchise. So straight into the first question, Sean, what exactly does Snack in the Box and its franchisees do?
Yeah, thank you, Nick, and good afternoon, everybody. Snack in the Box is what we call a man and van franchise. So we're very much sole trader. What does that actually mean? It means most of our franchisees are operating the business with one van, and they're either operating it individually or in partnership with a partner, basically. We've been established for 20 years. We're members of the BFA, and I'm proud to say we've been full members of the BFA for all of those 20 years. And we have 85 franchisees across the whole of the UK. But what is it we actually do? Well, just before I get into that, Nick, I just want to give you an analogy. This week, I'm sure you were filled up with fuel. And when you've filled up with fuel, you've gone into the petrol station to pay. And whilst you're queuing, because you always have to queue when you pay for fuel, whilst you're queuing, on the left-hand side, there are stacks of shelves of chocolate. And on the right-hand side, there's probably shelves of crisps. And it may not be you, Nick, that buys that chocolate bar, because I know how much you look after yourself. But I can probably guarantee it will be somebody in front of you or somebody behind you that actually grabs over and buys that chocolate bar. Now, they had no intention of purchasing that when they went in to pay for their fuel, yet they purchased it. And the reason they purchased it is a 70 pence impulse buy. And that's our model. Our model is based on an impulse buy. But instead of petrol stations, we're actually taking the product to the customer. So we're not waiting for the front door to open and hope somebody comes in there. We're actually taking product to businesses in the UK. And if you look at businesses in the UK, the majority of them employ less than 100 members of staff. What does that mean? It means they have no facility for snacks at all. It means they haven't got a canteen and they haven't got a tuck shop. And that's where we come in. We're looking for businesses that have no facility for snacks. It might be an engineering company that employs 50 people. And what we'll do within that engineering company is we'll install a vending machine and that will go into their staff room. It might be a firm of accountants that employs 7 people. So no matter how small, that's where our vending box will come in. It's a small little tuck box full of goodies. And we'll put that next to the jar of Nescafe and the kettle. So that's our equipment inside. How does it then work? Well, it's down to individual, because this afternoon, somewhere in the UK, our equipment will be sited. There's 12,000 bits of equipment out there in total, but somewhere in the UK, someone this afternoon at 3 o'clock will be sat at their desk, they'll be bored stiff, they'll be fed up with the boss, it's raining outside, and they think to themselves, I'm going to go and make a cup of coffee. When they go and make that coffee, we're back to the petrol station scenario. In front of them is a bar of chocolate, and it only costs 70 pence, and they buy that bar of chocolate, and now they've got a smile on their face. And that's really our model. Obviously, it's not based on just having 2 customers. A franchisee typically will have 160 customers in a very tight geographical area, all buying that impulse buy. And it will be a mix of vending machines and vending boxes. And that's the model, really, Nick. Franchisees are making their money by buying a packet of crisps for 35 pence and selling it for 70 pence, and it's throughput of product. That's our model. If you just look at the other areas of Snack in the Box, we're massive on brand. We're really big on brand sales, and I know you would know that. And we're brand partners with Mars, with Walkers, and with a number of other confectioners. And that really helps our franchisees, because it helps throughput a sale. It helps market their business. All you need to do, Nick, this Friday evening, you probably won't want to do this, but all you need to do is watch the England-Scotland game, and Mars sponsor the England team. On every advertising boarding will be Mars advertised, and that helps sales. It really does. So we're really big on brands. And the final thing to mention is we're part of a PLC. We're part of a group called Uvenco UK, and they're one of the largest vending businesses in the UK. So they will provide us with support and advice in the vending industry. And if you package all of that up, if you package up our history, our 20 years, the number of franchisees we've got, the simplicity of the model, the sexiness of chocolate, dare I say it, if you then put into that our powerful brands and the backup of a PLC, that really gives franchisees a great platform to make a successful business.
Okay, well, that's a great introduction. So you've got size, you've got presence, you've got brand, and perhaps most excitingly, you put a smile on thousands of people's faces every day. So that's a great thing for you and your franchisees to be able to deliver. Thousands of smiles a day. I like that idea. So how do you bring a smile to your franchisees' faces? What's your role and your team's role in helping people develop their business?
Yeah, I've been with the business 14 years, so we've been established 20, so nearly at the start. I came in as a franchise manager, so I've got a big operational background behind me. So myself, I've serviced dozens of sites and customers with franchisees. But if you just push fast forward to my role now as sales director, I suppose, Nick, you could say I'm responsible for recruiting franchisees into Snack in the Box. What does that actually mean? First and foremost, and I know you'll get this, but first and foremost, it is essential we bring in the right people. We've got such a powerful brand to protect. We've got the Snack in the Box brand to protect, and we owe it to the people that are looking to invest in us that we're bringing in the right people. So it's essential that we're right for them, and as importantly, they're right for us. So how do we basically do that? I've got an office based in Wimbledon, so our sales department, if you want to call it that, is based in Wimbledon. So it's not just me people will deal with. Initially, people tend to contact us via our website. Once they've done that, we'll email out a prospectus to them that will give them a lot more information on Snack in the Box than the website will give them. We'll let them know of availability of area. We'll follow that up with a one-on-one phone call where we can have an exchange of views and see what floats their boat and explain what we've got available. If after that we've got some mutual interest, we'll meet them in their local area, and I will come along and present Snack in the Box to them for a couple of hours, explaining how the business is run, what the good is, what the bad is, and what the ugly is, if you like. So once that meeting's happened, Nick, I'll invite them on what we call a van day. So they've had all the theory and everything from me and my team, but we'll actually get them out with a local franchisee so they can see it, they can touch it, they can feel it, and they don't have to listen to me droning on. Once that day's finished, they're quite advanced then, you know, they've met me, they've been out with somebody, they've seen what it's like. If there's still mutual interest between both parties, what we'll do is we'll invite them to our Blackburn office. They will meet the rest of the Snack in the Box team. I will take them through the financials. I will take them through the franchise agreements. I will give them some sales flyers. I will give them a legal agreement. And at the end of that meeting, Nick, I'm saying go and do your due diligence. Drive the area. Knock on some doors with sales flyers and see if there's a demand for the product, which there will be. Take the legal agreement to a lawyer. Take the cash flows to your accountant. Contact the franchisees, really important, and work out if Snack in the Box is for you. If that is the case, we then sign a franchise agreement and things then move quite quickly. Somebody will train with us within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then we launch the business. So that process, I hate using the word process, but it's really detailed, Nick. It's down to me to make sure I furnish the individual with as much information as I can to help them make a really informed decision about Snack in the Box, and that can take up to 3 months.
Okay, great. Now you mentioned about the importance of finding the right people for Snack in the Box, and Snack in the Box being right for them. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching live now, and thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you joining us today. That are thinking, okay, well, I'm liking the sound of what I'm hearing, but I haven't got a history or a background in working in the snack and confectionery industry. So how important is that? And what is the ideal profile, would you say, of someone that's going to be successful as a Snack in the Box franchisee?
Yeah, a couple of questions there, Nick. I'll answer the first one. You talk about industry knowledge, and to me, the reason people will buy, well, one of the reasons people will buy a franchise is it opens up lots of doors for them, because to join Snack in the Box, you don't have to have operated a vending machine. To buy a restaurant franchise, you don't need to have run a restaurant. That's why you're buying a franchise. You're buying the know-how of the franchise, and you're getting the training from the franchisor to enable you to run that business. So our franchisees come from all walks of life. They've run insurance businesses. Yes, they've been news agents, they've been lorry drivers, they've been bank managers. But that side of it is almost irrelevant. My advice as a franchise professional is not so much industry knowledge, but think about the franchise you're buying. Because a couple of examples. Let's say you're useless with figures and you hate number crunching. Well, don't go and look at an accountancy franchise. Or if you're going to buy a franchise because you want to be a sole trader and get away from staff, well, don't buy a restaurant business. So overall, it doesn't really matter who applies for a Snack in the Box franchise. That's our role to assess them. What are we looking for, Nick? We're looking for somebody with a personality. This is a customer-facing business. They need to be able to go into a workplace with a box of goodies and big smile on their face and build a rapport with that customer, because people buy from people. So if you wake up in the morning and it's tipping down with rain and you're fed up with everything and you've got a stinking headache, you still go in with a smile on your face. So that's first and foremost. I'm really looking for personality and people that have a cheerful disposition. We're then looking for someone that's salesy. And I'm a great believer, there's dozens and dozens of franchises out there. They all need someone that can sell. But invariably, the people that join the franchise are people that have had no sales experience at all. I mean, if you look at our franchise network of 85 franchisees, very few of them have come from a sales background. But the key is not so much, yes, I can sell. The key is to have that attitude to go out and sell, with our support, with our help, with our systems, but it's having the motivation to go and do it and a business plan to do it. So whenever I'm talking to somebody about Snack in the Box in the early days, I like to get over to them very quickly. Yes, this is a customer service business, but it's also a sales business. So, and I don't want anyone to be put off from that. Again, that's the purpose of buying a franchise, to get the know-how of the franchisor. Thirdly, probably everyone says this, Nick, self-motivation. We've got a small team. We employ around a dozen people. What that means is I can't be on your doorstep at 9 o'clock in the morning and dragging you out of bed and saying, get out there. So self-motivation, it has to be somebody that realises what they're getting into. It's a full-time opportunity, as most franchises are, and to make it work, follow the system, get out of bed first, though. That's what you need to do. The final thing, Nick, is, and this is just Snack in the Box, what we're looking for. We're a man and van franchise, low-end investments, typically. It's really crucial that people coming into this are funded properly. I don't want anybody to come into this if they're absolutely loaned up to the hilt, and all that's going to happen is they're going to end up paying me every week, paying the bank manager every week, and not paying themselves. And that's another thing that we're looking for when we're talking to people. And that's it, really, in a nutshell. That's the criteria we're looking for.
So it sounds like smiles again is key, which sounds fantastic.
Yes.
Smiles from franchisees, smiles from you, and smiles from the customers. A theme running there. Smiling, enjoying people, perhaps just enjoying life and what you're doing. So it sounds like if you're enjoying life and what you're doing, then I'm sure that you come across very well to whomever you're speaking to. So I think that's a really key facet. So thinking about Snack in the Box franchise, what would you say is special about it? What sets it aside? What are the key aspects of it for a franchisee to benefit from?
Yeah, great question. Anyone that's buying a franchise needs to look at the USPs. They need to look at what's stopping me doing this myself. and USP is key, obviously. In Snack in the Box, powerful brands, they sell themselves. I've already mentioned the power of Mars and the amount of money they spend on advertising. So that's at the top of the tree. The next thing would be a customer base. So you're going to buy a Snack in the Box franchise. In effect, you're buying blue sky. There's no one's in the territory. We've got all the vending equipment stored in a lockup. So how are we going to generate this business? The Snack in the Box franchise, we will go out and guarantee to find the franchisee's initial customer base. We've been doing it for years, so it's not new. It's written into the legal agreement. So it's a guarantee in a period of time that we will go and cite all of that business. And what that does, Nick, it gives an income from almost day one, which entails very little working capital is needed. And it's turnkey. So the franchisee is not sat around for 6 months waiting for something to happen as a customer base is being built. It happens pretty much instantly. If it is 160 customers, not all of your eggs are in one basket. It's not like you've got five key accounts, and if you lose one, you've lost 20% of your business. The pain is spread, if that makes sense. We've got a number of national accounts that are unique to Snack in the Box with major retailers. It basically means we are the only company allowed to put our vending equipment into those sites. And a couple of household names to give example would be Mataland and Dunelm Mill. And franchisees do very well out of those sites providing their service. So that's of a great benefit. Back to sales again. We realise year one is probably the hardest year in any franchise or any business, in fairness, and we recognise it takes a while for the franchisee to get it operationally right. It's all new. So what we do is we build into our franchise a whole week of sales canvassing and marketing that's provided to the franchisee free of charge. So once the franchisees settle down with their initial customer base, they may want new business, they may want incremental business. They can call on the Snack in the Box sales team to go into an area and find that business for the franchisee.
Okay, great. So obviously a lot of support there, a lot of focus on helping your franchisees get that revenue flowing from day one from your team. So thinking about the franchisees part, obviously, as we said, you're not there at 9 o'clock in the morning to say, go and meet your clients, go and service and look after your clients. So can you describe a day in the life of a Snack in the Box franchisee?
I can, because I've had loads of days with Snack in the Box franchisees, as the rest of my team have. What would happen? Typically, our franchisees are running the business Monday to Friday, Nick. There's no servicing unless franchisee chooses to on a Saturday or Sunday. So it's either Monday to Friday, or we have some franchisees really efficiently have managed to get it into a Monday to Thursday. So the typical day of a franchisee would be loading their van at 8 o'clock in the morning. At 8:15, they leave their drive, because this is a business run from home with low overheads. So they leave their drive at 8:15, probably get to the first customer at 8:30, go into the customer, big smiley face, replenish the box or the vending machine. Tends to take 5 to 10 minutes. You know, you're not in their hours. It's a very quick in and out. And they jump back in their van. They've got their money. They then drive to the next customer, and it's in a very tight geographical area, the customer base. So they're not driving miles between customers. The next customer, it may even be next door, but typically the next customer will be 300 yards down the road. They go into that customer, they replenish the stock, they do what they've done in the first customer basically, and they repeat that between 25 and 30 times a day. So they're visiting a lot of customers in that day. The day will end around 4 o'clock. They jump back in the van, they drive back home, might get home for circa 4:30. They'll unload the van. It's now 4:45. They've got to count the money, which is exciting the first few times you do it, but the novelty soon wears off. Count the money, get the stock ready for the next day, and now we're probably driving. We're now into something like 5:15. So to stereotype it, it's 9 till 5. What you've then got to think about is what goes on behind the scenes, and there's not a lot, but there's enough to think about. Someone's got to bank the money. You certainly can't do that at 5:30 in the evening. So that's sometimes done in the morning when they're driving to the first customer. Someone's got to order stock. Someone's got to take delivery of stock. Someone's got to think about accounts and VAT, perhaps on a Sunday morning over a coffee. Someone's got to do the reporting into Snack in the Box. And most importantly, we're back to my favourite word, sales. Someone's got to think about, do you know what? I'm finishing at 2 o'clock on Friday. I'm going to go and knock on 10 doors and I'm going to find a brand new customer or an incremental customer. And that's pretty much the day in the life. The other thing I will add, Nick, just to finish on, just back to benefits, this is a cash-based business. There is no bad debt in this business. You are not invoicing somebody and thinking, God, I hope they pay me by the end of the month. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to feed myself. So cash-based business, cash is king.
Yeah, I think there's some real benefits to that. Anyone that's run a business where they're raising and chasing invoices knows the pain and the cost of having to actually collect the money that you should be paid. So I think that's a really good point, especially for anyone first time into business. So, okay, we've heard a lot here about Snack in the Box, about the system, how it works, how to meet you, the support people get, the profile of people, and the process that you take people through, and the benefits of trading with your system. So how do I take next steps? What's the best way for anyone watching now or the YouTube video to be in contact with you to start going through that exploratory process?
Really simple, Nick. Our website, it's got all of our contact details on there. People will find out a hell of a lot more about Snack in the Box as well, because this video is never going to do it justice. Really simple to remember, www.sitb.co.uk.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now, we do have a bit of time left, so what I'm going to do is just get some extra information from you on an expert level. Just for the people that are watching, yes, I'm calling you the expert. I want you to give some insight for people watching, just to help them with the fundamentals of franchising, because people, when they come into franchising, they're looking for that next step to progress their futures through franchise self-employment. Some will be clear on what that means, and some will want extra clarity on fundamentals of what they're considering. So I'd like an explanation from you, a brief explanation on what exactly is a franchise, and what's the difference between a franchise and trying to go it alone by yourself.
A franchise, Nick, is a tried and tested business method or running a business. So it's something that the franchisor has set up, has run a pilot themselves to make sure it works, and we'll have, unless they're a brand new franchise, we'll have a number of franchisees all doing the same thing. So it's a tried and tested method that will work in Aberdeen and it'll work in deepest Cornwall, if that makes sense. So it's replication of a business model that means the person or the franchisee that's coming in brand new and extremely nervous, is this going to work? If they follow the franchisor's tried and tested system, it should work for them, because if it's working for the rest of a franchise network, why will it not work for them? So it's replication, it's duplication of a business model to ensure commercial success.
Okay, and clearly it does work. If anyone cares to look at the British Franchise Association NatWest national surveys, they'll see that over 95% of people that run a franchise actually run profitably. So clearly, key benefits to following that proven system, as you've said. Obviously, the franchisor has a role and the franchisee has a role in that replicating of success for the benefit of both. What is the role of the franchisor and that of the franchisee?
Role of a franchisor, one is to ensure they select the right franchisee. That message has come across loud and clear already. Two is to then train that franchisee initially, and that can be classroom. If you take the Snack in the Box franchise, it's classroom and field. So train the franchisee. If it's a premises-based franchise, the role of the franchisor is to find premises and work with a franchisee to find premises. It's then to provide ongoing support. That's one of the key things of a franchise. It's otherwise, why buy a franchise? If you're going to buy it and then you never hear from the franchisor, well, why buy a franchise? So it's absolutely vital that the franchisor provides ongoing support to the franchisee. So again, put it back to Snack in the Box. Our franchisees are field-based, so we have 2 field-based door knockers, 3 field-based engineers, and 3 field-based franchise managers. It's absolutely key that the franchisor provides ongoing support to the franchisee, and that's healthy win-win franchising. As far as the franchisee is concerned, I'll go back to what I said a minute ago, Nick. It is to follow a tried and tested system, and if it's working for the rest of the network, there's no reason why it won't work for that individual.
Okay, great. Well, that gives clarity on why exactly there is a franchise fee to enter and why actually you're paying management service fees to be a franchisee. Clearly, it's not only just provision of product, but there's a lot of training, there's support, there's ongoing support, and there's a two-way win-win activity program for the success of both. So that's quite clear. You mentioned about coming into the franchise, and you've spoken about the agreement. For the clarity of everyone watching, what exactly is a franchise agreement? What's it there for?
A very long document. Now, the franchise agreement is there to govern the relationship between the franchisor and franchisee. So it governs that relationship. It's a legal binding document. It's normally for a 5-year term or a 10-year term. And the reason those terms are there is to give the franchisee time to earn the money that they ploughed into the business, obviously. And there'll be obligations in that agreement. The obligations are there to protect the franchisor and to protect the franchisee. So if you take Snack in the Box agreement, there's an obligation in there that the franchisee will only operate in his area of prime responsibility. So that will be postcode based, which actually protects the surrounding franchisees to make sure he's not poaching their business. So that's us governing the franchisee. But the flip of it is, there's a clause in our franchise agreement, and probably most others, that say to the franchisee, we can only increase your weekly management fees on a yearly basis, and we can only do it via the rate of inflation. So there's a couple of examples there, Nick, but it governs the relationship and gives protection to both the franchisor and franchisee.
Okay, and you mentioned about the territory and how important that is for the franchisee. How is the franchise territory put together, and how does that work for the benefit of the franchisee?
It depends on the type of franchise, Nick. If you just talk about Snack in the Box, we're B2B sales, so there's no point us putting a franchise in the middle of Dartmoor. We won't get any business. So ours is B2B. What we do is we franchise via postcode, and within those postcodes, we buy business data in to ensure there's a minimum of 6,000 potential businesses in that area. And our 20 years of experience will say that works. Outside of Snack in the Box, it could be, I don't know, you're selling fireplaces. Well, if you're selling fireplaces to the home, it's pointless having a territory with lots of businesses in. You need lots of chimney pots in. So it really depends on the model. But if anyone researching into a franchise, territory is absolutely key, and you really need to find out what it's made up of. What's the criteria? Why have you given me such a small or such a large territory? And you need to find that out, because it should be replicated throughout the rest of that franchise network, the same model of territory.
Okay, that's great. That's very clear and insightful. So as ever, we've flown to the end of our 30-minute slot. With a lot of information passed over. So thank you again, Sean. Thank you for those that are watching us now and the YouTube recording. I think it's worth finishing off, Sean, if you just remind everyone who's watching the best way to contact you to get insight and understanding of the Snack in the Box franchise for themselves. So if you just direct us all back to where we can contact you, that would be fantastic.
Fantastic, Nick, and thank you for everybody watching. Hopefully you got something out of that. But best way to contact again is our website. Again, really easy to remember, www.sitbc.com. Thank you.
Okay, that's brilliant. Well, that winds up our time. Just remains for me, Nick Strong, to say thank you everyone for joining us. We are excited about franchising. We're excited about your future in franchising. And it's been great to introduce you to Sean and Snack in the Box. Do make contact with him and find out about what Snack in the Box can do for your future. So thank you for joining us. We wish you a great day and a great future in franchising. Thanks so much.